Open Sky Wilderness Therapy was kind enough to sponsor tonight's event. They've worked with thousands of students and family members during their 12 years in Durango and employ about 200 people in the region. Open Sky transcends traditional wilderness therapy by emphasizing treatment for the whole family, not just adolescent or young adults. Their students experience physical health through hiking and outdoor living.
All right, I know that I came here with promises of lots of fun statistics, but I didn't come with statistics. They're only fun if you're a data nerd like me. I have loads and loads and loads of statistics. If ever you want some, give me a call. We'll get some coffee. We'll talk about statistics. So I'm actually just going to sit here and reiterate what all of these really awesome panel members have talked about today. How many of you out there are parents? Raise your hand. Okay, keep them up. How many of you out there know a kid that you care about? All right, so this is for you. I travel around the county talking to people about marijuana and teenagers all of the time. 3 questions come up every single time. Every single time. So the top 3 questions. Number 1, is marijuana addictive? We've heard that already, right? I understand that because marijuana doesn't have the same addictive qualities that other drugs have, like meth and cocaine, that you become addicted right away. People think that it's not addictive. But what we found is that 1 in 6 teenagers who use drugs, who begin smoking marijuana as teens, 1 in 6 can become addicted. People who are trying to quit marijuana, who use every day, report symptoms that include irritability, sleeplessness, decreased appetite, anxiety, and drug cravings. That's addiction. It's hard to quit. If you start smoking as a teenager, it's going to be hard to quit. The second question is, but marijuana can be used as medicine, so that means it's not harmful, right? There are medicines that are really harmful. But every single person here has said it, and I really believe it too. I understand that marijuana is a medicine. That's important. In glaucoma patients, it reduces eye pressure that can lead to vision loss. It can provide relief from chronic pain, reduce nausea and vomiting from cancer chemotherapy treatments, and it limits severe weight loss that results from AIDS and other diseases. I have a friend who used medical marijuana in California when it first became legalized because he was dying of AIDS. It was the only reason he could eat. It's important. But like all other medications, it has its own side effects. So when thinking about marijuana as a medical treatment, we need to make sure that we're talking to physicians who know the pros and cons and how to use that in an appropriate treatment plan. Does talking to my kids about not using marijuana work? This is one of my favorite questions, and a lot of it stems from this idea that experimentation is real. And a lot of us experimented when we were young. And some of us out here smoke marijuana because it's legal, and some of us out here drink because it's legal. But what's really important to know and to say and to be okay and comfortable with is you can use marijuana. It's legal for you. Your brain is fully developed. Your body is not still developing. It's okay to smoke marijuana and tell your kids that they can't. Right? Like, it's okay. So the Colorado Department of Public Health and Education and Environment has shown, their reports have shown that kids are 4 times less likely to use if a parent tells them not to. 4 times less likely. That's amazing. And according to the research that we do in La Plata County specifically, called the Healthy Kids Colorado Survey, 50% of La Plata County parents are talking to their kids about not smoking pot. This has resulted in our surveys showing that 8 out of 10 youth in La Plata County did not smoke pot for the 30 days prior to the survey that they took. 8 out of 10 kids are too busy doing awesome stuff in Durango, Bayfield, and Ignacio to smoke pot. Like, that's awesome. It's especially awesome for y'all because I know that you guys are having trouble in school with people getting in trouble for smoking marijuana, but that is not the case for the entire county. So if there are young people in here, know 8 in 10 are not using marijuana. Something that I feel like we don't talk often enough about here are disparities in drug usage in communities like queer youth and youth of color. And these are really important, especially if any of you work with kids, you know that the queer youth population here is booming. It's booming, and we have really amazing groups of grown people who are addressing the issues in these communities, but also it's important for us to know as a whole community too, that according to recent studies, the odds of substance use for queer kids are on average 190% higher than straight kids. It's 340% higher for bisexual youth and 400% higher for females. So when you're thinking about that young lady that you know who's queer and you don't know how to broach the subject or if you should broach a subject, know that she is 400 times more likely to use than her straight female counterpart. So that's that moment to push in a little bit further. In the same token, youth of color, who we don't think about very often because Durango feels very white, because Bayfield feels very white. If those are your communities, thinking of youth of color might not be like on the top of your mind. But the Colorado Health Department survey found that while there wasn't a huge racial difference between which youth are using marijuana, the arrest rate for marijuana for white teenagers fell by nearly 10% from 2012 to 2014, while arrest rates for Latino and Black youth respectively rose more than 20% and 50%. So this is one of those things, someone was talking about making sure that kids know the legal consequences of using marijuana. This is something that we need to address, right? Like if you know youth of color, they're gonna know that they're more likely to get in trouble, but it's okay for us to acknowledge that too, because that's the only way we can change it. If all of these people out here who raise your hands because your parents and or know and love a child, a young person, a teenager, and you want to talk to them about not using marijuana, Good to Know Colorado has a really easy 4-step process for you. I have all of that information too as a resource. If you need it, come see me and I'll make sure that I get it to you. But their 4-step process goes like this. 1, start the conversation. According to that survey I told you about, youth with supportive parents, teachers, coaches, and other adults are less likely to use. They might experiment, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that the conversation didn't work. So make sure that you have that conversation early and often in a time that works well for both of you. Like, don't try to squeeze it in on the car ride to school, because the conversation is more nuanced than that. You're gonna get questions like, well, don't you smoke pot? Well, is it really that harmful? Well, right, like we're all gonna get those questions. So make sure that you carve out like significant time. My 9-year-old is sitting right here, and she can tell you how old you have to be for your brain to be fully developed, the side effects of marijuana. I walked into a classroom of hers the other day, and she was telling people that they shouldn't drink before they're 25 because that doesn't give their brain time to wire correctly. Okay, start now. Do it often. It's not a scary conversation, it's just a conversation. Focus on the positive. We have all heard about DARE, like we all talked about DARE. 40% more likely to use if you go through the DARE program. 40%. Don't try to scare your kids. It does not work. It does the opposite. So stay positive. When you're talking to your young people, when you start that conversation, when you're having these conversations with them, take the time to remind them of what they're doing well and how they can achieve their goals. Don't focus on the scary bad parts. Focus on the, hey, is it gonna be easy for you to ski all day if you've been smoking all night? Hey, is it hard for you to study to go to the college that you wanna go to if you're smoking instead of studying? Right? It's how do we reach your goals? How do we keep marijuana kind of off the plate so that we can get you to where you want to be? Number 3, set clear rules. How many of y'all know about boundaries? Boundaries are good. Teenagers push against boundaries. That's what they're supposed to do. Set rules, make them clear, and stick to them. They might push back, and that's okay. Boundaries let people know that we care. So set them. And sometimes I like to set boundaries by asking my kid what feels appropriate to her. And sometimes I overrule them and sometimes I don't, because sometimes she knows better about her life than I do. And the last one is, and this sounds silly, but I'm a social worker, and so like I went through all of my grad school doing role plays like all year, like all day, every day. I did role plays all day, every day. But it is a really important tool to use with young people is to role play how to say no. A lot of young people don't know that it's as easy as, you know what, if I get caught smoking pot, I can't ski. I can't dance. I can't do theater. I can't play my sports. Let them use you as an excuse, right? Let them know, hey, you can use me as an excuse. Just say, you know what, my mom would kill me. I'd be grounded all summer. Even if that's not true, they can still use that because peer pressure is real. And sometimes we have to prepare ourselves for what's going to come. Just like we all prepared ourselves to come here tonight, we have to prepare ourselves for things like that in life. If you want to get involved, Celebrating Healthy Communities, that's me, promotes the 40 Developmental Assets Framework. It's a research-based prevention strategy provided by the Search Institute. The assets are positive supports and strengths that young people need to succeed. We provide these assets in graphic form on our website and newsletter. We provide training to youth-serving organizations, parents, and students as requested and can tailor those trainings as you need. We also facilitate creation of media campaigns that are youth-led and data-driven so that youth voice can be heard across the county. That's why I'm rushing, yeah. There are 2 prevention coalitions in town that deal specifically with youth, Celebrating Healthy Communities, and Communities That Care, which is Kate Jones right here in the green sweater, through the San Juan Basin Public Health Department. Both of our groups work together to reduce risk factors and increase protective factors. In partnership with the Collaborative Management Program, which is the LPYS programming, the State Innovation Model, which does suicide prevention in town, Communities That Care, and youth from around the county, we've begun to have the conversation regarding the creation of a youth involvement work group. This gives youth the opportunity to build youth-adult partnerships, and our first event is going to be held on April 21st, probably down on North Main, and it will be our first annual, hopefully, youth showcase event, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And there are so many other ways to be involved. There are 44 organizations that work with Celebrating Healthy Communities alone. We work with government officials, we work with youth-serving organizations, we work with religious affiliations, we work with the police department. 2 of my police guys are back there. Like, we work with the entire community because what we want to do is promote healthy living, healthy lifestyles, addiction-free lifestyles. We want to promote prevention, and we want for our youth to feel like they are valued by our community. Because sadly enough, when we ask our young people how they feel about the community, they say that they don't feel valued by us. 30% of La Plata County youth say they do not feel valued by our community. That's a big deal. Programs like this are proof that we do. Coalitions like the one that we run, we are the ones who are doing the work to try and promote that idea that we care about youth. So if you're interested in promoting healthy lifestyles, come see one of us or me, and I'll connect you to her, and we can get you all together on that.